In the year 2016, the NBA had quite possibly the most confusing offseason of all time. Because there was two very controversial deals made, which led to a monstrosity almost. That led to a lot of big problems. And these two things were Mike Conley being signed to a max contract that was at the time was the largest contract in NBA history. Why was a middle of the pack point guard being signed to a max deal worth more than any player ever? Why? And secondly, the other one was Kevin Durant signing with the Golden State Warriors, because that move started a chain reaction on top of the Mike Conley deal, which led to us seeing the creation of the SuperMax. And the SuperMax contract is a contract given to a high caliber NBA player that has a certain amount of accolades and has been with his team for a long while. Like, say, Giannis has been with the Milwaukee Bucks his entire career, and he's approaching into his he's approaching his 7th season pretty soon, and he should be a free agent pretty soon as well. And they should be aiming to re-sign him, and he just won the MVP award. And also, being MVP leads you to getting the All-NBA selection, which would put him a shoe-in for one of the biggest contracts in NBA history. And I've read already that he'd be aiming to get a record $247 million contract in this offseason. And all you have to do to obtain a Supermax contract in the NBA is make an All-NBA team, be a Defensive Player of the Year in the near seasons, or be a MVP caliber player in the present day. Now, there have only been 5-ish players that have signed a Supermax contract. Those players are Stephen Curry, perhaps one of the two only players that are really worth the Supermax he was given, because Steph Curry was criminally underpaid his first few seasons due to multiple ankle injuries to start his career, and that allowed them to pick up Kevin Durant in this offseason. And really, the Supermax was created to give the teams with small markets a bigger shot at keeping big free agents. So you could keep your players that you drafted by offering them contracts that they really shouldn't deny. Now, the other few players, like John Wall in particular, have a big problem with their contract. Because where you have your Steph Currys, who is probably a pretty good for sure thing deserving of the Supermax deal, and a James Harden, who has been an MVP caliber player for the last 5 seasons and consistently gets you close to winning, but he just comes up short against the Stephen Curry in the playoffs. But the thing here is you have your John Walls and your Russell Westbrooks, and recently now established a Damian Lillard. Now, Damian Lillard, he just signed his maximum contract. It isn't as big as the other ones, and which is different because there's a lot of big and bad contracts in the NBA, and I'd say that Damian Lillard is worth the Supermax deal. He's worth it. But the thing here is the Trailblazers aren't a team built to win, and him getting a Supermax deal is not a good thing for that team, as they will suffer for years to come, because they'll have to pay CJ McCollum a big max contract if he performs to an all NBA level, if he requires the money. And the John Wall case is much more significant, because when it first was signed, they were saying it was a bad deal, which is true. I'll give you that. John Wall is a great player. He deserves to make a lot of money. But in this case, with the Supermax deal, he's going to be making 40-something million to not play this coming season. He's going to be making almost $40 million to not play. And then he tore his Achilles. He's ruptured his Achilles at his house as well now. And he's guaranteed 40-some million per season for the next 4 seasons. Getting capped off at around the 50 million in 2020-23. So it's not looking good with that contract. And you have Russell Westbrook with the Supermax deal. He's getting a similar amount of money as John Wall. And also another player who's in the Supermax range dollar-wise, but really shouldn't be, is Chris Paul. And he's making Supermax money, but he's not a Supermax player anymore. And that's a big problem in Houston, as you can't add players, and your dynamic duo is aging now, with Chris Paul being approaching 34 years old, getting like he had a decline this year because he didn't really have the ball in his hands as much. He had a general decline in play, and he's not really going to be able to play to the same effect or same level anymore. And also, just to show you the high-level Supermaxes that didn't go through, is Paul George gave up his Supermax a couple years ago when he requested a trade from the Pacers. Kawhi Leonard gave up his Supermax when he requested a trade from the Spurs. LeBron gave up a Supermax when he left Cleveland. Anthony Davis gave up a Supermax when he requested a trade from the Pelicans. And Kevin Durant just recently decided not to take the Supermax from Golden State and go to the Nets. And also, you had players like Jimmy Butler and DeMarcus Cousins that got traded before they could be eligible for the Supermax deal. And also, you had Klay Thompson and Bradley Beal coming up just short of the Supermax and not making an All-NBA team. And this is a big problem in the NBA, and it's leading to a lot of bad spots for teams, because you're stuck paying someone that's over the hill in the league-wise, or paying someone who can't stay healthy on the court, or paying a player who isn't really useful and you can't build around you because you're spending a good percentage, like 40% of your salary cap, on a player, on just one guy. In the day and age in the NBA where you can't win with just one guy. But that's all I have to say for right now. I might continue and talk about it some more later on. And I'll thank you guys, and I'll catch you guys later.